So in those years of being a sideman, I would sort of go from one artist to the other to the other. And it was just this progression. And I was playing with an old fella named J.D. Nicholson. I was playing at this legendary club in Redondo Beach called the Lighthouse. And one night some fellas came in and sat out there and listened to us. And the next night they came back and they came up to me and said, "Hey, we're Canned Heat and we need somebody to go on tour with us." And I got into Canned Heat, which was a big step up for me. I was suddenly really in a world famous band, and a band that I just adored. You know, I was 18 years old and I was one of the kids sitting in the mud at Woodstock. I was there, and one of my great memories of that festival was the set that Canned Heat played. And so to get into that band to me was like a dream come true. And after a year or two in that band, we played an opening slot for 3 nights with John Mayall, the great iconic John Mayall, and this was in, I believe, 1982. John had the original Blues Breakers back together. He had Mick Taylor from the Stones, he had John McVie from Fleetwood Mac, and on drums he had the great Mr. Colin Allen. We did 3 shows opening up for them, and John and I hit it off and became friends. And at the end of the 3 shows, he said, "What are you doing now?" And I said, "Well, Canned Heat's taking some time off." John said, "I'd like to hear you play rhythm for Mick Taylor." So suddenly I went out on the road and I was playing with the original Blues Breakers, which was amazing to me because when their records came out, I was a teenager in New Jersey learning how to play the guitar, and I sat down with those records and learned every single solo note for note. I just worked on it and worked on it. The Eric Clapton years and the Peter Green and the Mick Taylor albums that John did with those guys. I just worked on all of it. And then a couple of years later in 1984, John asked me to join his band full time. And the first night that I went out on stage with John and we were going to play all the songs that were on the Eric Clapton Blues Breakers album, I came out on stage and I played all the solos, note for note, Eric Clapton solos, right off the record. And I thought that's what John wanted. And I was like, wow, see, I know all this stuff. And after the gig, he came to my room and he knocked on the door and he said, "Walter, I hired you because I love the way you play, and if I wanted Eric Clapton out here, I would call him up. So I want you to feel free to play these songs the way you do. Add your take to it, add your feel to it, take it somewhere else. You're free." And that freed me that night, and it really turned me into a much better guitar player because I was free to experiment and free to try new things and go new places with these songs. And I grew at a rapid pace as a guitarist doing that. But I do need to say, after he freed me and I started just really going, after a month or 2 on the road, he came to me one night and he said, "Walter, how can I put this? Once in a while, just take your hand off the neck." You know, he wanted me to leave a space now and then because I was having a ball. I was just going. So those years with Mr. Mayall were very, very important in my development as an artist, as a guitarist. He would also let me sing. He would feature me. And my debt, both musically and personally, to Mr. Mayall is something that I can't even express. My love and respect for the man. 4.5 years playing guitar for John Mayall is just an amazing, amazing experience. It was like going to a university of the blues. So thank you, John Mayall.